What up, y'all? Uncle Benji here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an artist spotlight video for you. We've done a few of these previously, and this is going to be an artist spotlight that's going to focus on a duo, and that duo is Phiik and Lungs, New York MCs, Lungs producer as well. They have a new album out right here that I'll show you that I've acquired on vinyl. People Are Not Your Friends. Steel Tip Dove produced this album that he put out on his label, Fused Arrow. Features from regular collaborators of these guys, Akai Solo, Shrapnel track on here, which is crazy, and Fatboy Sharif, who's another regular collaborator with them. They actually went on tour with Shrapnel, Curly Castro, and Premrock at some point recently. So really cool to see Shrapnel on here. But this is an incredible album. It's a little different from some of what they've released in their past. I'm going to talk about this album and their whole catalog as well. Before I get into the albums though, I'm going to talk a little bit about their artistry and who they are as MCs. You may already know Phiik and Lungs. If you don't, they're artists from New York that have very unique styles and are very true to the way that they rap. And over the years, I've probably been a fan for about 5 years now. I've continued to see them grow and work with so many different people and put out a ton of projects. I have a lot of projects I'm going to talk about that they put out physical releases for, but they put out a ton of other projects that aren't on physical releases. So once I go through all the stuff here, just know it's kind of tip of the iceberg for all the work that they've put out. But there's been a lot of online discourse around these guys. They're both white MCs. They both are unapologetically who they are. They're not trying to sound like anybody else. And there's videos of them rapping that have gone viral that get lots of attention, negative, positive, a lot of times more negative. And recently in the last couple years, I'm seeing less and less of that because people are understanding that these guys are here to stay. And again, they have their own style. They're true to it. They're not trying to imitate anybody else. They're not trying to sound like anybody else. It may not sound like what you're used to, but for me, someone who really likes listening to new and different stuff, they're artists that immediately when I heard them really caught my ear. And I'm glad to see that that online discourse is changing a little bit. And they've done a lot, you know, as white guys to make sure that people understand that they respect this art form. You know, they're not trying to imitate what black artists are doing and just eat off of it or change up into something else later in their career. They're true to their vision, and they have been as long as I've listened to them. And you listen to them with interviews or talk about their music, and it's very clear that that's their perspective. They recently did an interview with POW Mag, Passion of the Weiss magazine, with Paul Thompson. A really great interview. And there's a great segment in there. It was originally, when this interview got released, I think it was attributed to Phiik, but now when I look up the interview, it's attributed to Lungs. So I'm not sure exactly. I'm guessing maybe it was a Lungs quote that they had. But he really goes into detail about how, as a white guy making hip hop, there's a lot of times that, you know, he has to know when to just kind of stand in the background and not have something to say. And I think that's like very important. You know, I know this as a white guy who covers this, who used to make music years ago, but now I just cover it and talk about it. And even not making it, I have to be respectful. I have to make sure people understand that I'm here to contribute. I'm not here to take anything. I'm here to pay respect and honor to the people that have made me such a huge fan of this art form. And this is a black art form. Any of us that are involved in this art form that aren't black, we're passengers in this. Like, we are allowed to be around as long as we are respectful. And Phiik and Lungs are ones that do it right and are great examples for any other MCs coming up. But that's a little bit about their perspective, how I view them in this space, and why I respect them so much, not just as musicians, but who they are. And it makes it easier for me to be a big fan of theirs. But let's go through some of the catalog and show you some of the tapes and vinyl and stuff that got me into them and what made me such a huge fan. And it all started right here with this tape, Lungs, Birth of Lonesword. And this was a tape that Gang released, as Gang releases a lot of really cool tapes with really cool designs on here. The artwork is done by Chop the Head, who's just continued since I saw this to do amazing artwork on lots of different projects. This may have been the first time that I saw Chop the Head artwork on here and immediately made me attracted to it. I've heard Lungs talk about how seeing the artwork made him understand he had to go even harder and make the project even better because he had to match it. And I love that type of mentality as an artist, that, man, we want the best artwork possible and we want it to inspire us because we know that people in future generations are going to see that artwork and identify what's behind it. And man, it really matches with this project because this album has 26 songs on it. It's all produced by Lungs. He raps throughout it. Phiik is featured on here, but this is a Lungs project through and through. There's lots of other features on here. I mean, we got features from Wavy Bagels, Fatboy Sharif, DFNS, Silence, Benji Socrates, Lord John Monty Ogban, Lamb Rabbit, Gam, Phiik, Akai Solo, all these people on this project. And these are all like regular collaborators. And again, like, this is how you know how legit and thorough these guys are because of who they work with. All the people in the scene that are always on tapes with these guys, and you can tell the fun they have in the studio and the chemistry they have and the posse cuts that are on here. And yeah, this tape like immediately won me over and made me a huge Lungs super fan. His rapping and his production are both so up my alley. I mean, the production is just dusty and soul loops and weird sounds and vocal samples. It's just really, really great dusty production. And then his rhymes are like just waves coming at you. In the interview he did with Passion of the Weiss, he described his rhymes and flow like IP Man, where he is just coming at you relentlessly. And it's not necessarily fast, but it's never stopping. And that's such a great way to put it because it just washes over you. Sometimes it reminds me of listening to an MC like Mike. You're not catching everything at first, but you're just going into a trance listening to it. And more lines like jump out over time, but with Lungs or with Phiik, they're not really artists that I'm picking out individual lines and retweeting them. It's more of like a feel of everything. They're just throwing the kitchen sink at you, and you can just sink into it and disappear into a different world when you listen to their music. So that tape got me right into it, but they had a lot of projects that were out previous and other stuff that was coming out around that same time. Another tape that I got here, this was a collaboration by Phiik and Silence. Silence has a new album out that's fantastic as well, so make sure you tap into Silence's new album that he put out with 1010. But this tape he put out with Phiik is great, and it was really my kind of introduction to Phiik as well. These tapes both came out in 2021. Getting into Lungs first through that Lonesword tape, and then getting into Phiik and finding out about Silence. And you know, I had gotten into Akai Solo a couple years before that, as well as Fatboy Sharif. So you're filling on all these holes and figuring out what that scene is. And oh, who's that on that track? Who's this on this track? And these tapes really give you a lot of that, where you're connecting a lot of the dots. So get into those tapes and then realize, oh man, they have more in their back catalog. Realize they put out this vinyl for Another Planet 2. And then on the other side here, we have Another Planet 3. And they have artwork on here that Phiik did the artwork for these. So he's involved in, you know, doing collages and artwork as well. This is really cool to have both of these tapes on one vinyl edition, so you could really kind of see. And they had, you know, several tapes that were before this. There's a lot of growth establishing the styles that they have now, and this is a really cool piece of the vinyl collection to have some history. We keep moving on to some more projects that they put out. We had Phiik put out this project, CHAINLINK, with producer Duro. It's a really, really great project. This is, like, I would say, from what I've listened to, Phiik's most personal project. You get to kind of know about him and his life and relationships he's had. Some great features on here, of course. He's got Lungs on there, he's got Akai Solo, and he's got Obi-Wan on there. So really great features on this little EP and a cool piece to have on vinyl. The next big time release that they put out gave them a little bit bigger cachet in the scene is this Another Planet 4. So a continuation of the Another Planet 3 artwork again on here from Chop the Head. Just, you know, you can tell if you look through Chop the Head's work, it's always fabulous, but over time, he just keeps stepping up what he's doing. No matter how you look at this and flip it, you see different elements of it, just stuff that really makes you think and want to dig deeper, just like the raps and the music that are on here. This project features Akai Solo, Wavy Bagels, and Fatboy Sharif. So they're kind of trimming down the features a little bit, getting the choice features that they have on here. And this is a really, really great project that I've listened to a ton. And you know, by the time this came out, I was already a fan from that previous stuff, but this was like, okay, these guys are truly here to stay, and I'm a huge fan of them. Everything they put out, a lot more tapes they were putting out around the same time as this too, but really cool to have this AP4 on a vinyl release. Speaking of Passion of Weiss, this is the next project that they put out that was put out on the Passion of the Weiss label, and this is Carrot Season. Really cool artwork on this. The artwork again done by Chop the Head. So really great stuff that they always get with Chop the Head when they work with him. No wonder you keep going back. And I think they've really helped him raise his level and cachet, where you see his work all over the place now. But they were some of the first places I saw his work was on this. This is a fantastic project that has features from Wavy Bagels, DFNS, Michael Christmas, who's a new one on there, Homeboy Sandman, Gam, YL, Sice Greeny, who has a joint album he put out with Lungs earlier this year that's fantastic, Akai Solo, Doof, who's one of my favorite artists, as y'all know, Fatboy Sharif, Lord Ja, Monty Agban, and Elric, and Silence. So this one has a lot more features on it, has a couple bonus tracks that you will not find on streaming. So this is definitely one that you want to get on vinyl. It has really pretty orange vinyl, double LP, fabulous album there. And that brings us up to, of course, the most recent one that we discussed, People Are Not Your Friends. And those great features on here from Akai Solo, Shrapnel, and Fatboy Sharif. And this project is a little different from what they've had in the past. For one, it has different artwork, spectacular artwork though, but this is by Tai Tealo. If I said that wrong, I apologize. Phiik Lungs over these beats here by Steel Tip Dove. I think it kind of gave them a different chamber to unlock of their style. Lungs especially is a little more slowed down than he usually raps. It's not gonna say he's like slow rapping, but just a little more like in the pocket. And it's just a nice change of pace and just makes it a little bit of a different listen from the rest of their catalog. And they're just, again, really fun artists to listen to. Phiik is an artist that, man, like his flow and the way he accentuates his stuff, it's so playful. And you always know that he's gonna have some fun assonance with his sounds and the way that it's not just rhymes, it's kind of like stuff ping-ponging off each other. And then Lungs just cuts through like a bobsled, like racing down the hill. But again, he talks about never overly fast. He's just non-stop, just giving you line after line, and different ones will hit you every time you listen, and it becomes something that you can just kind of get lost in with their music. These are musicians that I've never seen live. I did get this Another Planet shirt. Really cool shirt. Represents the series of Another Planet. I got this when I saw Akai Solo perform up in Chicago last fall. Gam was there DJing for him and performed as well. I think that's who I got the shirt from, was Gam. So really cool that I got some Phiik Lungs merch, even though I haven't seen them live. I really hope one of these trips out to New York, I get to meet them, I get to see them live, maybe here in Chicago sometime soon as well. I hope they get to tour more than just what they were doing with Shrapnel, because from what I've seen online, their live show is crazy and I would love to see it. Love everything about these guys. Love listening to their interviews. Love stuff that pushes the envelope, stuff that's unique, stuff that has style and flavor. And you could drop these guys in almost any era, and there'd be people that would be haters because they're doing their own thing and they don't sound like anybody else and they're not following trends. But that's exactly what I'm looking for, and especially when you can tell by the collaborators that they have. It's like, okay, like, if I'm not fucking with this music, like, what's wrong with me? That's what y'all should be thinking. If you see Phiik Lungs and you're like, oh, who are these? Like, but everybody else they're rapping with and in the scene are people you're fans of. You probably need to listen a little harder and kind of remove some of the biases and maybe listen to an interview or two that these guys are doing, because they're not going anywhere. They love this shit. They're about positivity. And, you know, I cannot wait to see where they go from here again. Tap into their whole catalog. They got a lot of really great physical releases. They got a lot of really great other releases that aren't on physical. Phiik has a tape out this year too. Just like I said, Lungs has a tape with Size Greeny that he put out that I love. Phiik has a tape as well. Super prolific artists that have multiple releases every year. I'm sure they'll have more coming out this year at some point as well. So make sure that you are tapped into their music. But that's the video for today, y'all. Have a great week. Till next time, Uncle Benji, peace out.